It was a quiet night on Earth when the first signal arrived. No one knew it was coming. The scientists at the Space Research Center were busy with their usual work. They didn't expect anything out of the ordinary. But then, something strange happened. The satellite dishes, which had been quiet for days, suddenly began to crackle with activity. A mysterious signal, coming from deep in space, appeared on their screens. At first, they thought it was just another space anomaly. Perhaps some kind of interference, or maybe a random cosmic event. But as the signal continued, its pattern became clearer. This was no random noise. It was a message. The scientists couldn't believe their eyes. They were receiving a message from somewhere far beyond Earth, far beyond anything they had ever encountered before. The message was simple. It was brief, but powerful. "We are coming," it said. "Prepare yourselves." The message repeated several times, each time more urgent than before. But there was something else in the signal, something unsettling. Hidden within the simple words were coordinates. A set of numbers that pointed straight to Earth's solar system. The aliens were on their way. They were coming, and there was no turning back. Governments around the world were immediately alerted. News outlets picked up the story, and soon, the entire world was in a frenzy. Panic spread faster than wildfire. Some people prayed, others prepared for war. Everyone had the same question: who were these aliens? And what did they want? The signal continued to repeat, growing stronger as it came closer. But as much as Earth's scientists tried, they couldn't decode the entire message. They only understood one thing: Earth was under threat. A massive invasion was on its way. The message spoke of destruction, of planets falling, and civilizations crumbling. It was clear that these aliens were not here for peace. As the days passed, the world's leaders came together. They held emergency meetings, discussing how to respond to the alien threat. The military began preparing for the worst, but no one had any idea how to fight back. How do you stop an enemy from another world? What weapons could possibly defend Earth from an alien force capable of reaching this far into space? Then, something even stranger happened. The aliens sent another message. But this time, it wasn't a warning. It was something else, something that made everyone feel even more uneasy. The message didn't mention an invasion, but rather a question. "Why didn't you prepare?" it asked. "Why are you so unprepared?" The tone of the message was cold, calculated, and mocking. It felt like the aliens knew something that Earth didn't. Something that Earth had missed. The world's scientists scrambled to find answers, but they couldn't figure it out. How could these aliens be so certain that Earth wasn't ready? What did they know that we didn't? With each passing day, the tension grew. The alien fleet was getting closer, and Earth still had no plan. The world watched as the sky darkened with the unknown. People could only wonder what was coming. Would the aliens invade and conquer Earth without a fight? Or was there something else happening that the people of Earth couldn't even imagine? And then, on a quiet evening, the unthinkable happened. The aliens made their move. Their ships entered the solar system, but they didn't head straight for Earth. Instead, they stopped. Right at the edge of Mars. The world's eyes turned to the red planet. Why had they stopped there? Was Mars their destination all along? Or was something preventing them from continuing their journey? The world held its breath. The aliens had arrived, but they didn't make it past Mars. Something was stopping them. And whatever that something was, Earth was about to find out. The alien fleet hovered just outside of Mars' orbit, an enormous armada of ships stretching across the sky. But something strange had begun to happen. The massive ships, which had been moving forward with undeniable confidence just days before, were now frozen in place. Their systems, once functioning perfectly, began to glitch. Communications between the ships became erratic, and strange flashes of light seemed to emanate from their hulls. On Earth, scientists and military experts scrambled to understand what was happening. Why had the aliens stopped? Why were their ships malfunctioning in the vicinity of Mars? The situation was growing more perplexing by the hour. Even the most advanced Earth-based technology couldn't explain the mysterious behavior of the alien fleet. The world watched in suspense as the first signs of a possible invasion turned into a bizarre, stalled standoff. The alien ships, which had seemed unstoppable just days earlier, were now reduced to floating in space, unable to move or communicate. The Earth's leaders tried to prepare for every possible scenario, but no one knew what to expect. Mars, once thought to be nothing more than a barren red rock, had suddenly become the focal point of the entire conflict. It was as if the aliens were afraid of something on the surface of the planet. The thought seemed ridiculous at first. After all, Mars was no more than a desert world, an empty shell with no signs of intelligent life. But as the days passed, it became increasingly clear, the aliens' malfunctioning ships and sudden hesitation couldn't be a coincidence. Something was out there, something that was keeping them from going any further. A team of Earth's top scientists, led by Dr. Alice Turner, was dispatched to investigate. They were tasked with studying the alien fleet's behavior and figuring out why Mars had become such a critical obstacle. They prepared for a long journey, hoping to gather data from the surface of Mars itself. Dr. Turner's team arrived on Mars with the latest equipment. They descended into the planet's dusty valleys and barren craters, searching for any signs of alien structures, technology, or anything that could explain the sudden blockage in the alien invasion. As they scoured the planet's surface, they found nothing but ancient ruins buried deep under layers of dust. But as they dug deeper into one of the craters, they made an astonishing discovery. The team stumbled upon something massive, hidden beneath the surface of Mars, an enormous structure, far larger than anything humanity had ever built. It was an ancient facility, its walls covered in strange, unreadable symbols. Dr. Turner and her team were stunned. This was no ordinary ruin. It looked as though it had been built by a civilization far older than any known to Earth. The deeper they dug, the more they uncovered. The facility seemed to have been designed for a purpose, one that no one on Earth could fully understand. But there was one thing they did know for sure, this was no natural formation. This was an ancient defense system, an advanced technology built to keep invaders out. The aliens had stopped at Mars for a reason, they had known about this defense system for centuries. And now, it seemed to be awakening. The alien fleet in orbit around Mars grew more agitated by the hour. With every new discovery made by Dr. Turner's team, the fleet's systems seemed to react, almost as if they were aware of what was happening on the surface. Strange energy readings began to pulse from the ruins, as if the structure was reacting to the presence of the humans. It became clear, Mars was not just an empty world. It was a guarded planet, and the ancient technology that lay beneath its surface was powerful enough to stop an entire alien invasion. Back on Earth, news of the discovery spread like wildfire. The world's leaders were both terrified and fascinated. Could this ancient defense system protect Earth from the alien fleet? Or was it a trap? The stakes had never been higher. As the alien fleet continued to hover above Mars, Earth was faced with a difficult decision. Should they try to activate the ancient technology and risk triggering something they couldn't control? Or should they wait and hope that the aliens would turn away? Dr. Turner, along with her team, was now racing against time. The alien fleet was growing more desperate, trying everything they could to breach Mars' orbit. But every attempt was met with failure. The fleet was stuck. And the deeper they dug into the ruins, the closer the team came to uncovering the full truth. Whatever was hidden beneath the surface of Mars was the key to Earth's survival. And then, one night, as the team uncovered the final chamber, they found it, the core of the ancient defense system. A massive energy source, more powerful than anything humanity had ever seen. It seemed to hum with life, waiting to be awakened. But the question remained, would it help Earth? Or would it bring about the destruction of everything they had fought so hard to protect? The tension was unbearable. The aliens had come for Earth, but they couldn't get past Mars. And now, Mars had a secret that could either save the world or doom it forever. Time was running out, and the decision would soon be made. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. With the alien fleet now helplessly trapped in Mars' orbit, Earth's governments and scientists focused their efforts on deciphering the alien ruins. Dr. Alice Turner's team had made incredible progress, uncovering the core of an ancient defense system that was both mysterious and powerful. But as they examined the technology further, they realized something unsettling. The defense system was not only designed to block the alien fleet, it was capable of much more. The core of the system, hidden deep within Mars, was pulsating with energy. It was a power source unlike anything humanity had ever seen, capable of projecting an immense force across the solar system. But how could Earth possibly use this power? And more importantly, would it be enough to drive back the alien invaders, or was there a far more dangerous consequence to activating such technology? As Dr. Turner and her team carefully analyzed the system's structure, they discovered that the technology wasn't just ancient, it was far more advanced than anything Earth's brightest minds had ever imagined. It was as if the ancient civilization that had built it had anticipated an invasion like the one now unfolding. The defense system seemed to have been constructed specifically for the purpose of keeping Earth safe from forces beyond their control. But the more they studied the system, the more questions arose. There was a troubling lack of documentation. No written records. No data to explain how or why it had been built. It was as if the people who had created it had simply vanished, leaving behind only this cryptic defense mechanism. Meanwhile, the alien fleet hovered above Mars, unable to progress any further. Their ships continued to malfunction, their technology disrupted by an unseen force. The aliens, now desperate, began sending out more urgent messages to Earth, demanding that they stop meddling with Mars. But the tone of these messages had changed. What once had been a threat now seemed like a plea for help. The aliens were no longer confident in their victory. They were scared. Back on Earth, military leaders and scientists debated the next course of action. It was clear that the defense system was powerful, but no one knew if it could be controlled. There was a debate: should they activate the system and risk provoking the aliens further, or should they try to find another way to stop the invasion? Some believed they could use the power to turn the tide and drive the aliens away. Others feared that turning on the system might unleash a destructive force that could wipe out everything in its path. The world held its breath. The decision was left to Dr. Turner and her team. With time running out, they chose to activate the defense system and hope for the best. They made the necessary adjustments, connected their equipment, and began the activation process. For the first few moments, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the core of the defense system began to glow. A pulse of energy shot out, spreading across the surface of Mars, and then, to everyone's shock, a massive beam of light shot up into space, aimed directly at the alien fleet. The power of the beam was immense. It crackled through the void like a thunderstorm, illuminating the darkness of space. For a moment, the entire world watched in awe. The beam struck the alien fleet, and the impact was catastrophic. Several ships were destroyed in an instant, disintegrating in a flash of light. The remaining ships were thrown off course, their technology completely disabled. The alien invasion force was in chaos. The humans had done it, they had activated the defense system and sent the aliens reeling. But the victory came at a cost. As the beam of energy subsided, a strange feeling swept over the people of Earth. The power of the defense system had been overwhelming, and the aftermath was far from certain. The skies were darkened by a storm of cosmic energy. On Mars, the ground trembled, and the ancient structure seemed to shudder with life. The technology had been unleashed, but it was clear that something had changed. The system had been activated, but its full consequences were still unknown. Dr. Turner and her team were left with an uneasy feeling. While the alien fleet had been pushed back, they couldn't shake the feeling that they had just unlocked something much bigger and far more dangerous than they had anticipated. The ancient defense system was far more than just a weapon. It was a relic of an ancient civilization, one that had faced its own war with invaders long before Earth had ever been a target. The world now faced a new reality. The aliens were retreating, but Earth had unknowingly opened a door to a power greater than they could control. The balance of power in the solar system had shifted, and Earth had made its first step into a much larger universe, a universe where the ancient forces that lay hidden on Mars were only the beginning. As Earth's leaders tried to comprehend what had just happened, one thing became clear: the war with the aliens was far from over. The aliens would be back. And now, Earth had a weapon of unimaginable power, one that could either protect them or destroy them all. But one thing was certain: humanity had just made its mark on the universe. And whatever was waiting in the shadows, Earth was no longer an easy target. The alien fleet, though still reeling from the devastating blast of energy, wasn't finished. The destruction had been catastrophic, but the aliens had survived, and they weren't about to turn back now. Mars, the planet that had once been a forgotten world, was now ground zero for the largest conflict in human history. The war for Earth was far from over, and now Mars had become the battlefield where the fate of two worlds would be decided. In the aftermath of the pulse, Dr. Alice Turner and her team had returned to Earth, their minds still reeling from what they had unlocked. The ancient defense system, while a powerful weapon, was unstable. It was as though it had a will of its own, responding to the alien presence in ways that no one could predict. Despite the success of their initial strike, they were still uncertain about what the next move should be. The alien fleet had been shaken, but they weren't giving up. The aliens, now desperate, began to launch a counterattack, targeting the Mars defense system with everything they had left. But something unexpected happened. The ancient technology that had been activated on Mars began to respond in ways they hadn't anticipated. Instead of simply firing at the alien ships, the defense system seemed to create a powerful energy shield around the planet, blocking any further attempts to breach its orbit. The alien ships, which had once been so confident in their power, were now at the mercy of this unknown force. They had tried to advance on Earth, but Mars, now seemingly protected by an impenetrable barrier, became their greatest obstacle. They were trapped in orbit, unable to escape or land on the planet. The more they tried to retaliate, the stronger the defense system seemed to grow. Back on Earth, a sense of both fear and hope began to take hold. For the first time since the alien message had been received, humanity began to feel like they might have a chance to survive. But there was still the question of whether they could maintain control of this new power. Was the defense system truly a safeguard, or had they just unleashed a force far too great to handle? As the tension grew, Earth's military strategists began to prepare for a possible ground invasion of Mars. They knew the aliens would stop at nothing to gain access to the ancient ruins beneath the surface. If they could land on Mars, they might be able to destroy the defense system or turn it to their advantage. Earth couldn't allow that to happen. A team of elite soldiers, armed with the latest technology and guided by the expertise of Dr. Turner's team, was assembled to take the fight to Mars. They were tasked with reaching the ancient facility where the defense system's core was located and ensuring that no alien forces could breach the planet's surface. This wasn't just about defending Earth anymore, it was about making sure humanity had the power to control its own future. The mission was dangerous, and the stakes were high. The soldiers knew that Mars was no longer just a barren wasteland. It was a war zone. As they descended through Mars' atmosphere, they could see the alien ships hovering above the planet, waiting for the right moment to strike. The ground trembled beneath their feet as they touched down, and the soldiers quickly formed their positions, ready to face whatever awaited them. Dr. Turner and her team were part of the mission, providing scientific guidance and keeping a close eye on the ancient ruins. They made their way toward the core of the defense system, which was buried deep beneath the surface. But as they approached the location, they began to notice something strange. The ruins, which had been dormant for eons, were now alive with energy. The once dead facility seemed to hum with life, as if it were reacting to the presence of the humans, and the aliens. The tension escalated. The soldiers, on high alert, prepared for battle. It was then that they saw them, the alien scouts, sent to infiltrate the planet's surface and sabotage the defense system. The two forces clashed in the red dust of Mars, weapons flashing and explosions lighting up the dark skies. The battle was fierce, but Earth's soldiers were well prepared. With the power of the defense system at their backs, they were able to hold their ground against the alien forces. But the aliens weren't giving up. They fought with everything they had, determined to take control of Mars and its powerful secrets. Meanwhile, Dr. Turner's team continued to work furiously to activate the defense system in full, hoping to turn the tide of the battle. As the situation grew more desperate, they managed to unlock a deeper level of the ancient technology, releasing a surge of energy that sent shockwaves across the Martian surface. The energy shield around Mars grew stronger, pushing the alien forces back. The invaders began to retreat, their ships struggling to stay in orbit as the planet's defenses pushed them further and further away. But just as the Earth soldiers thought they had won, a new threat emerged. Deep within the ruins, a hidden chamber was revealed, an ancient weapon unlike anything they had seen before. It seemed to be linked to the heart of the defense system, and it was pulsing with dark energy. The soldiers and scientists realized that the ancient civilization that had built the defense system had left behind something far more dangerous than they could have imagined. The battle for Mars wasn't over. The aliens had been pushed back, but the true nature of the weapon hidden on the red planet was yet to be fully understood. And as Earth's forces scrambled to secure the ruins, they realized that the greatest threat was not the alien fleet, but the unknown power that lay beneath Mars' surface. As the dust settled on the Martian battlefield, Dr. Turner and her team were left with a chilling realization: Mars had not been just a place of defense. It was a place of power, power that could either save humanity or bring about its destruction. And the battle to control it had only just begun. The Earth was on the brink of a new era, one that had been forever altered by the arrival of the alien fleet. The people of Earth, who had once looked up at the stars in awe, now found themselves locked in a battle for survival. The aliens had come to conquer, and Mars had become the critical battlefield in this conflict. But as the dust settled after the intense clashes on Mars, something even more terrifying began to unfold. What Earth had uncovered beneath the surface of the red planet was far more than just an ancient defense system. It was a weapon with unimaginable power, and it was now active. Dr. Alice Turner, alongside the elite team of soldiers, had learned to their horror that the ancient civilization that built the defense system had left behind something far darker. Deep within the ruins, they had uncovered a chamber, an energy core that pulsed with a malevolent force. The more they studied it, the more they realized that the core was not just a shield, it was a weapon capable of obliterating entire worlds. And in its wake, it would leave nothing but destruction. As the alien fleet above Mars struggled to regroup, they were unaware of the new threat lurking beneath the planet's surface. Earth's forces, battered but not broken, now faced a crucial decision. Should they deactivate the ancient weapon and risk leaving Mars vulnerable to another invasion, or should they harness its power to finish what the alien fleet had started? The decision was not an easy one. The scientists and military leaders of Earth had to weigh the potential for massive destruction against the promise of ultimate victory. But the aliens were not done yet. Their fleet had been decimated, but they had sent their most formidable forces to land on Mars and secure the ruins. Their leader, an imposing figure named Ethan, had been watching the conflict from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. As the remaining alien forces closed in on the heart of the defense system, they were determined to take control of the weapon, no matter the cost. Earth's victory would only be possible if the weapon remained under human control. If the aliens seized it, the consequences would be catastrophic. On Mars, the final battle unfolded. Earth's soldiers, led by General Marcus Hayes, fought with everything they had, determined to protect the ruins and the weapon buried deep within them. But the aliens were relentless. The battlefield was strewn with explosions, laser fire, and smoke as the two sides clashed for control of Mars' ancient secrets. For every alien that fell, another took their place. It was a fight of attrition, one that would determine the fate of both worlds. Dr. Turner, now deep within the heart of the Martian ruins, tried to make sense of the ancient technology that lay before her. The energy core pulsed louder, as if responding to the chaos above. It had become clear that the weapon could be controlled, if one knew how. But as Dr. Turner attempted to unlock its full potential, a terrifying realization hit her: the weapon wasn't just meant for defense. It was a failsafe. A last-ditch effort to destroy the entire solar system if the invasion failed. It was designed to wipe out everything. As the battle raged on, General Hayes received word that the alien leader, Ethan, had reached the central chamber of the ruins. The time had come for the final stand. With the alien forces closing in and the weapon threatening to become uncontrollable, Earth's soldiers made a desperate charge to reach the heart of the ruins first. The fate of the universe now rested in the hands of a few brave men and women. In the chaos of battle, Ethan stood before the energy core, his alien soldiers surrounding him. He reached out, attempting to tap into the weapon's power. But just as his hand neared the core, a sudden explosion rocked the chamber. Earth's soldiers, led by General Hayes, burst into the room, guns blazing. The alien forces and the human soldiers collided in a furious melee, fighting for the control of the weapon that could change the fate of their worlds. Dr. Turner, seeing that time was running out, knew that the only way to prevent disaster was to take the weapon offline. With a single thought, she ordered the core to be powered down. But something went horribly wrong. As she tried to deactivate the system, the energy surge grew uncontrollable. The weapon began to power up at an alarming rate, releasing waves of energy that spread across the surface of Mars. The world watched in horror as a massive shockwave rippled through space, sending tremors across the Martian surface. For a brief moment, it seemed as though Mars itself might explode, taking everything in its path with it. The alien fleet, still in orbit, watched helplessly as their last hope crumbled before their eyes. The power of the weapon was too much even for them to handle. In a final act of desperation, Ethan attempted to seize the weapon, but he was too late. A blast of energy shot out from the core, sending him and his remaining forces into the void of space. Mars was no longer just a battlefield, it was a tomb for the alien invaders. The shockwave continued to expand, and for a moment, it seemed like Earth itself might be caught in the weapon's path. But just as it seemed like everything would be lost, the energy core suddenly powered down. The weapon's pulse slowed, and Mars was quiet once again. The battle for Mars, for Earth, was over. As the smoke cleared, General Hayes stood among the wreckage, victorious but weary. The alien fleet had been defeated, and the weapon on Mars had been deactivated, just in time. But there was no real celebration. The victory had come at a great cost. The people of Earth had barely survived, and the weapon that had once been their greatest hope was now an unpredictable force, one that they couldn't fully understand. Dr. Turner's team, though exhausted, knew that Earth had entered a new chapter. The weapon on Mars was still a mystery. But for now, Earth had survived. The aliens had failed. And while Mars was scarred by the battle, it had proven one thing: humanity was not ready to be conquered. The universe, it seemed, was far more dangerous than anyone had ever realized. But for the first time, Earth had shown that it could fight back. The question now remained: would the aliens return? And if they did, would Earth be ready? The final stand had been won, but the war, if that was what it even was far from over.